You know, to be honest, I started this film off thinking this was going to be some Hindi ripoff of Fast and Furious, and I ended it thinking that it was a Hindi ripoff of Ocean's 11.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money,
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar.
Drive, not the good Ryan Gosling one. No, it's the Hindi version. It's not actually similar to the Ryan Gosling one at all. So Drive is a new film from Bollywood. This is the first Bollywood film I've ever seen. I'm just saying that. I've seen a Chinese film now, and I've seen a Bollywood blockbusters. I've not seen really any like low-budget foreign films from China or India. I'll watch some probably one day. But this movie, Netflix, I'm really happy about this. Thank you, Netflix. They've started to put a lot more foreign films on there. Lionheart is on Netflix, and I'm really excited. I really want to watch that movie. A Shadow went to Netflix. They're doing a lot of that, and I really support that. I think that making audiences more aware of foreign films is something we really should do. Like, freaking put Old Boy on Netflix. Like, not the 2013 version. No, the original 2001 Old Boy. Put it on there, because people need to see that foreign film. But overall, putting foreign films on Netflix is a really good decision. Netflix is the type of company you'd think I'd look at it and say, I don't like you, but I like the way Netflix treats their website, to be honest. I'm happy with Netflix, and I'm happy I can just watch a film whenever I want, just some new movie I've never seen before. But Drive is a film I watched because I read Austin Burke's. This is going to be a longer review because there's so much to talk about. I didn't expect this, to be honest. But I saw that Austin Burke gave this movie a 5% out of 100. That is really bad. So once I saw that, I thought, I have to see this. It's on Netflix. It's PG-13. I'm going to watch it. I was not disappointed. This is... Guys, this is the best movie of 2019. It really is. This movie is so bad. It's hilarious. It is... I want to call this film so bad it's good. But I don't think it's so bad it's good in the way The Room is. Because The Room, I watch it. I just love it. But to be honest, there are a lot of moments in this film that just really pissed me off. Like, some of it sucks. Some of it's really annoying. Other parts of it are laugh out loud hilarious. It's amazing, truly. First thing I'm going to talk about is the editing in this film. Is the worst editing I've seen this entire decade, and possibly of all time. That actually does include films like Joshua and the Promised Land. The editing in this movie is ass. It is 100% never good. It's like, you can, whenever there's action scenes, it's so awkward. Like, the cameras, obviously they just take these cars and they just have them drive and they put GoPros on them. That's the most, almost lazy way to make an action scene. Like, technically that's practical, and there are practical effects in the beginning of this film, not the end. But there are practical effects in this film, but you can never tell what's going on, because it's just cutting around and around and around, and it's hilarious. From the opening race, I was laughing, and there's the most, you know those, okay, so if you ever seen Ryan Higa's, it's hilarious, it's his movies on a low budget, it's really funny, he's probably the best YouTuber on the internet, to be honest, but he made a video called, like blockbusters on a low budget, and for Fast and Furious, he does the joke in it where every single time they're driving, they switch the gear all the time. And in this movie, they switch the gear all the time, and you're supposed to take it damn seriously. They're switching that gear all the time, and it's so hilarious. And there were the most awkward cuts to their faces. Like, under the driving wheel, there's like a camera there, like maybe on top of here. And it's like for a split second, you just see their face like that. It's hilarious. Every time it's action in this movie, it's so hilarious. And at the end of the film, they just completely ditch doing practical effects, and it just becomes 100% CGI. It's so bad. It's like so hilarious to watch just the CGI jumble everywhere. It looks awful. The effects at the end are so bad. And whenever there's an effect in this movie, it is atrocious. The movie never looks good. The shots are really awkward. There are a lot of really awkward shots lingering on them. It's so weird. This movie is so awkward. Like, one of the ways I can describe this movie is just, it's so horribly edited. Like, I'm just gonna say, guys, this movie's a musical. Like, it kinda is. Like, there's a point at the beginning of this film, the opening scene plays. The opening scene does not tie in the film at all. That you do not need to see that opening scene. The opening scene plays, and then a mother freaking music video plays, and then it goes back to the movie. Like, why are we watching a music video? I went on Netflix to watch Drive, not Drive and a couple music videos. And at the end, just right before the third act, they're like, music video. And then you think it's the third act, and then there's another third act, and then there's another third act, and it keeps going and going and going, and I was just laughing. Because it's so bad. It's so bad it's good. Honestly, it is. Let's talk about the dialogue in this movie. It's not good. I mean, obviously it isn't, but like, the way the dialogue is helmed in this film, it's really poorly edited. I watched like the first half of this film one night, and I fell asleep halfway through. A couple days later, me and my brother just watched the entire thing through, so I've seen the first half of this film twice, and I did not get bored either time. I think that like, sometimes when I was watching it, so I watched the first half in Hindi version, and eventually me and my brother were watching it, we're like, let's just make this experience more funny. Let's watch it dubbed. And I laughed out loud the entire time when it was dubbed. It's so awkward. That's the way dubbing works, though, so I can't really criticize the film for its bad dub. But the film seems dubbed. No matter what. Like, even if you watch the original Hindi version, it seemed dubbed to me. Like, the lines felt so awkwardly placed over the actors. The entire film seems dubbed. It's crazy. Also, not a single actor in this film looks bad. They're all supermodels. And every character sucks. In fact, this movie has the worst character crisis ever. Like, I don't even know, I couldn't even tell you who the main character is. Yeah, I could say who the main character is, who's the protagonist of the film. But the main character, like, who he is and what side he's on, makes absolutely no sense. It switches back and forth. It's hilarious. It's insane. Like, the film wants him to be with the drivers, but he wants him to be with the cops. But then the entire third act, you're rooting for the drivers, but then at the end, it makes no damn sense at all. And his character's motivations make no sense. Then I mentioned this movie has an obsession with plot twists. There are a bazillion plot twists in this movie. They're everywhere, like every which way. It's just like a plot twist there, a plot twist there, a plot. It's insane. It really is. Like, the entire film is just focused on, here's a plot twist. Here's a plot. Like, at the end, it's just plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. And every single time there's a plot twist, I actually thought, I just paused and I thought, and I was like, nope, that doesn't make any sense. And then they go back on the twist, and then they go to another twist, and another twist. By the end of the film, the film makes absolutely no sense, and you think, why would they do that? Why did they hire him? Why is this happening? And yeah, it doesn't make any sense. So like I mentioned in the intro of this video, this movie is like half Fast and Furious ripoff, half Ocean's 11 ripoff, which is true. The very first half of this film is like another one of these cop infiltrates a crime organization of street racers, same premises. Point Break, same premises of Fast and Furious. And the film goes like that, but then there's also this subplot to get this criminal who's like working with the street racers, which actually is not the case by the end of the film. But like they want to find this guy, and then halfway through the film, we randomly are rooting. Like, so they're finding this guy called the King. That's literally, at the beginning of the film, it's established the King is the villain of this film. And they're like, we're going to infiltrate that company, and we're going to find the King. By the way, halfway through the film automatically is like, actually, you're rooting for the King. Why are you rooting for the King? Well, spoiler alert for anybody who cares. The King is the main character. So they're like, okay, well, that doesn't make any sense. Like, for some reason, that's just a random twist in the middle of the film, and now you're rooting for these main characters, and it's hilarious. Like, for some reason, the film expects you to just randomly root for the main characters, and then the last, like, hour of this film is just, like, the last maybe 30 minutes, like, just, it's that really cliche, you've seen it a million times heist. Like, I've seen this entire heist. I completely saw it and I thought, this is entirely ripping off of Ocean's 11. Like, they straight up ripped off of Fast and Furious and Ocean's 11. Ocean's 11's way better than Fast and Furious. But they straight up took Ocean's 11 and just stole the entire premise from it. Ocean's 8 is less similar to Ocean's 11 than Drive is to Ocean's 11. And so then that whole Ocean's 11 thing. And you'd think that after the heist, it would be the end of the film. Like, every heist film ends. They get the money, they go out, they get free. Yay, it's like Fast 5. But then, now there's another third act. There's this really, really awkward and long, entirely CGI'd car chase at the end. It goes on and on and on, and random stuff is happening. Then it ends, but then it doesn't end. And then there's another resolution and another final scene, and then it finally ends. And there's just twist after twist after twist. And at the end of the film, the film's just like, no, we wanna shove more in our film. Everything has to be in Drive. It can't just be a movie about car. Halfway through this film, this movie just stops caring that it's called Drive. Like, to be honest, the title Drive is more similar to Cars than Fast and Furious is to Cars. Because, like, Fast and Furious doesn't inherently mean cars. Now it does, because the franchise is so freaking popular. But, like, if I said Fast and Furious, and you had no idea about the Fast and Furious franchise, you wouldn't exactly know I'm talking about, like, Fast and Furious. Like, you could almost say that that's something like Top Gun could be. Because that movie's, like, they're fast people, and I haven't seen Top Gun, so I can't say. But it could be about anything that's fast. It could be about running. It could be about flight racing. But this movie is called Drive. What else do you drive? You don't drive a plane. You fly a plane. You don't drive a boat. I mean, you sail a boat. Yeah, nothing else is driving besides cars. But the film doesn't care. Like the beginning half of this, it's about cars. It's totally cars. Actually, the original premise of the film isn't even cars. Like, this film doesn't need to be about street racers. But it's called Drive, so it should be, but whatever. It's not about street racers like at all. There are street racers in it, but they don't need to be street racers. It could just be like the classic Mafia. But they're street racers for some reason, and then halfway through the film, they're not street racers anymore. Now they're just normal criminals, and then the film ends. So it shouldn't even be called Drive, because it actually makes no sense. And there's no reason it should be called Drive, because it's not even about, like, cars halfway through the film. This movie's so freaking bad. So yeah, basically what I've established is that the script is I keep messing with my hair. Like I was saying, camera stop. The script is a mess. It's all over the place. It never is consistent. Like, it's just like, it's a jumbled mess. There's not really a 3-act structure as much as it is just a bunch of random things happening, and I loved it, to be honest. This movie's awful. It's the most hilarious film I've seen this year, and if I were to be honest, this is easily the worst movie I've seen this year. I don't hate it more than After, but still. Because in the end, Drive is hilarious. It's so bad. It's incompetent, horribly edited, really awkward, horribly acted. The writing makes no sense. It's overall an absolute abomination of a film, but I completely loved it. It's so bad, it's good. You should, if you have Netflix, go watch this film. You might I think there are some sequences in this film where really it does kind of piss me off and it does get kind of boring. But to be honest, the first, hour of this film, it's totally worth it. And the ending of the film was totally worth it. You'll be laughing. I hope you'll be laughing at least. I love this movie as an ironic stance. It's one of the funniest movies I've seen this year. And I'm going to rate it just because I like to rate movies and I'd rather not rate it. I'm going to give Drive a 1 out of 10. To be honest, this is the closest I've ever gotten to giving a movie a 0. Like, I guess After I was so close to giving it a 0, but the reason why I didn't give this movie a 0 is because I think After is worse. I don't think it's worse made. The movie just pisses me off miles more than Drive. Drive does not piss me off at all because it's hilarious. But After pisses me off so much. I completely hate After, and it's the worst movie of the year. There's no way it could not be unless something really bad happens. But Drive is the second worst movie of the year, so credit there. It probably, if I gave it percentages, would probably be in the 0% range. But if I gave it a 0 out of 10, it almost feels obligation to give it number 1. And personally enough, I just don't hate this movie enough to give it number 1. That number 1 spot at the worst of the year is only for the film I hated the most this year, and that's After. And this movie's just not a movie I particularly hated. It's hilarious, though, and definitely go see it if you have a Netflix subscription. Midway review later. Bye.